let's take, for example, the first three sentences of the question presented. The second sentence tells the reader everything that the reader needs to know. So you can cut the sentence before.
I got this right here.
So let's read the second sentence. A violation of this rule, a Brady violation, occurs by withholding evidence that is favorable and material. So let's rephrase that just a little bit.
A Brady violation, just
Yep.
starting?
Yep.
Okay.
A Brady violation occurs when the government withholds evidence that is favorable and material. That right there tells us everything we need to know. Well, it tells us everything that your first three sentences say.
Yes, sir.
You said a Brady violation occurs by the government by withholding evidence?
Occurs when the government
Oh, when the government.
withholds evidence that is favorable and material. In the short answer, your first sentence kind of says the same thing twice. So he says, this seems to be a due process violation, and Maitland-Crowley has a Brady claim. Well, a Brady claim is a due process violation, so you could just say, Maitland-Crowley has a Brady claim.
Okay.
Then I think you can cut the next sentence, not because that is an important information, but because you've already told us that important information in the question presented. And then you refer a couple times to the DDC, but the DDC is the district court for the District of Columbia, and we're talking about the
Appellate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, the full name is, which you wouldn't need to say, the United States Court of Appeals in the District of Columbia. And so you could just say that it's in the court.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Is that where you have to say the full name once and then just put parentheses the court?
I mean, not really. You could just say the court as long as because you cited to it already, so
Okay.
we know what court you're talking about.
And this one, did you want us for the first sentence to cite Brady versus Maryland?
No, I don't think. Come in.
Oh,
Hello.
It's a party.
Hello.
sorry.
Are you in this? Are you? No, you're not.
No,
in this
she's
group.
not.
What's up?
I didn't know if you had office hours.
I can do office hours. So
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just thought the door was cracked.
no
I
problem.
feel bad.
Yeah.
See
I'll
you,
come.
Kev.
Hey, wait. Come back. Where are you gonna be? And I'll come find you. You're gonna be
I-
over there, over there.
Yeah, I have SSG at 1, so I mean, I can just,
We will probably go until about 10 till 1.
okay.
Is that enough time, or do you want to do something another day?
I'll just wait until 10 till and then.
I'll come out and get you.
All right.
See?
Sorry.
No, stop.
Okay, so prejudice prejudice is a noun.
Yes, sir.
Prejudicial is an adjective. An adjective. And the word material in the Brady context is also an adjective. It's kind of weird
Okay.
because we think of the material on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
But when you say evidence was material, you're using materials as you're using material to describe the evidence.
Okay.
So that's a long way of saying that it should say the withheld evidence was material or prejudicial.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of got away from that through the thing, and I tried to just only use material instead of prejudice at all.
That's fine too. So
You
you
think
can
that's
do
better?
that. That's totally fine. I usually say material.
Okay. Yeah, and I heard that, so I was like, he never really said prejudice, so I'm just gonna say material.
So okay. I think in your statement of the facts, you should toward the end quote from the note. You do that a little bit in the question presented, I think. You do that?
Yes, sir. Okay.
I was wondering,
Or
whenever
in
you're,
the short answer.
whenever you're quoting from like the note that you gave us, do we cite that? Or is that, cause that's
You don't
not
have
like
to for this assignment because I didn't really give you like a factual record that you can cite to a page number for. In the spring, when we have a longer record, I'll show you all how to like cite to the page of the record.
Alright, and then just like on formatting, if it cuts off statement of facts up here, do you want us to just push it down to the next
Yep.
page?
Okay, let's see. 2 sentences down in discussion, you say, it is likely that Victor Maitland would have a Brady claim. I think you can just say, it is likely that Victor Maitland has a Brady claim.
Okay.
A little bit more concise.
We did a good job with the 3-part test in the first sentence.
Yep.
And then that's our answer. in the next.
The Brady rule, yeah.
Okay.
Your next paragraph it starts a plaintiff appealing on the
Redundant.
basis of failure to disclose information, must apply the Brady test for insufficient evidence. The Brady test must be assessed count by count. I think you even cut all that.
Okay, and that's one
That
of
was
my,
your note?
yeah, like, is it repetitive?
Yeah.
So just cut that entire paragraph?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And then you should have subsections for each of the three parts of the test.
So say,
Yeah, like a subsection heading. It can just be like 1 period favorable evidence, 2
sim-
period withheld evidence, 3 period material evidence.
so do you want, so that's for each paragraph or for each part of the test? Do you want it like with that Iraq example you showed
No,
us, or?
no,
Okay,
it should be like this person. So here's the discussion section, although they did not do what you correctly said to do, which is put, they should not be hanging at the bottom like that. But then see how it says favorable
Oh.
evidence, suppressed evidence.
Yes,
So
sir.
just same font, same size, just bolded.
Yep.
Not
sort
centered.
of like,
No.
Kinda
I
like-
think this is actually well done in terms of styling.
Cool.
kinda like the Garner memo?
Yeah, does he use subsection headings?
I think so with the business and then, okay.
Okay, so most of that has been stylistic. Oh, let me do one more stylistic thing. Well, no, it's not really sentence. Okay, so most of that has been stylistic. Then for the discussion, my main suggestions are more about substance. So,
Okay.
when I want you to write more in your withheld section, sorry,
Material?
more in your material
I
section.
felt that,
But in
okay.
order to do that, you're gonna have to make some room. And that's not a problem because there's way more in your first and second parts of the test than there need to be.
Okay,
Aim for each of those subsections to be about 4 sentences.
okay, yes, sir.
And you don't need to tell us anything about the evidence in Johnson until you get to material.
Alright.
Just say, you know, evidence must be favorable, it's favorable if it's exculpatory or impeaching, the evidence is favorable here because, and then move on.
Okay,
Because unlike material, the reader kind of is gonna have a sense of what favorable means and
Mhm.
what
Withheld.
withheld means. It's not obvious that withheld includes accidental withholding,
so say
so you
that.
should say that.
Yes, sir.
But that doesn't take more than a sentence.
Okay,
Then that will clear up a lot of space for you to make your material section longer. And so then, in the rule explanation, I think you should put more about what was the evidence that was withheld in the Johnson case.
okay,
And then when you get to rule application, be more precise about all the similarities between our withheld evidence and the withheld evidence of Johnson. So here are 3 similarities.
okay,
To start with. Number 1, the contraband was found in Johnson's room.
yeah,
In our case, the contraband was found in Maitland's car. So they're both like found within the premises of the defendant. In Johnson's case, other people had access to his car. In our case, other people had access to Maitland's.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, I get what you're saying,
Car,
yes, sir.
Yeah. And in Johnson's case, the withheld evidence suggested someone else owned the contraband that was found. In our case, the withheld evidence suggests someone else owned the contraband that was found. So, as much as you can just make clear, connect the dots to the reader so that the reader can see, like, so long as we know that the evidence in Johnson was material, which we know it was, because the court said it was,
Mhm.
there can be no doubt the evidence in our case is material, because our evidence, for all legally relevant purposes, is just like that. I thought you did a good job of, or at least we're heading in the right direction of weighing strengths and weaknesses of our case, which is something that, you know, that other people haven't always done. So that part was good. Your topic sentence for the paragraph that begins "in our case," this paragraph is the beginning of rule application, where you take the rule you've explained and you apply it to Maitland's case. That topic sentence needs to have the word material in it.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, in its shortest, like barest bones, you need to say like, the evidence in our case was material. And you can say more than those 5 or 6 words, whatever, but it needs to tell us, it needs to preview the paragraph to come, and the main point of the paragraph to come is, let me tell you why this evidence was material in our case.
So, I think one thing I was kind of confused about, but debating when I was writing this, should we, like you just went through the 3 similarities, should we put Johnson, our similarity, and then like draw that one similarity, sentence from Johnson, sentence from our case, and then right under that, sentence from Johnson, sentence from our case? Or
Well,
all Johnson, all our case?
Before you get to rule application, before you start talking about our case at all, you should fully explain Johnson.
Okay. Yes,
And that should be about a paragraph.
okay.
And you have, you do go in the right direction of explaining Johnson. I just mentioned some suggestions for how you can maybe be a little more precise, but, your memo already suggests that you understand you're supposed to spend a paragraph on Johnson, so that's good. Now, you already fully explained Johnson, and you're moving to rule application. You begin with that sentence, the evidence in our case was material, because, and then, you should connect the facts of Johnson to the facts of our case. And so to do that, you're gonna have to repeat the facts of Johnson. But, you should, try to make the best prophylactic, the best caution thing is to make sure each sentence, when you're comparing Johnson in our case, mentions Johnson and mentions Maitland
Okay.
in the same
Perfect.
sentence.
Yes, sir.
Now that makes for a long sentence. So it's not the end of the world if you have like a short sentence about Johnson, a short sentence about Maitland that are clearly connected. But what I want you to avoid is, once you move to rule application, don't then go talk about Johnson again in isolation.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're always connecting Johnson to Maitland.
If you're gonna talk about Johnson, it needs to be
About Maitland.
to connect.
So,
it.
a good signal and structure could be, there are, there are 3 similarities between the evidence in Johnson and the evidence in our case. First, the evidence in Johnson was, first, the room, whatever you want to say. But then, and then you could do period, likewise the evidence in our case, and that likewise connects the 2 sentences. So I'm not saying you literally have to have Johnson and Maitland in every sentence, but it should be obvious to the reader how whatever you're saying about Johnson connects to Maitland.
Yes, sir. In the rule explanation, should we state, like you want us to say, the evidence in Maitland is material? Should we say, like specifically that the evidence in Johnson was found to be material?
Well, you will have said that in rule explanation.
Okay.
And so,
But
you don't need to repeat that the evidence in Johnson is material just for the sake of telling you the evidence in Johnson is material.
I mean, in the rule explanation, have one sentence, because I don't know if we have one sentence that says, the evidence in Johnson was material.
Yeah, I think,
Or the court found that maybe we did somewhere in here. I'm just not sure.
yeah, I mean, I think a good topic sentence for your Johnson paragraph is, in Johnson, the court held that that the evidence was material because, and then, after that sentence, go into more detail.
Okay. We're trying.
What are you saying?
So we're trying.
No, you're heading in the right direction, I think.
Cool, thanks, sir.
As far as stylistically, we were kind of like both like switching off and on. Like he would write a couple sentences and I would write a couple sentences. You don't notice like any of that in there. Like
No,
it's not clear as day that it's like 2 people writing it.
Nope.
Okay, that was one of the things I was worried about. Is that it would seem like 2 different writing styles.
No.
Okay, cool.
All right, sir. Well, we'll make these changes ASAP.
All right, good deal.
Where can we sign up for meetings for Thursday and Friday?
I meant to have them up by now, but I am probably going to have them up